says I'm going. It says I'm live. Hello. How is everybody? Hello. Hi, Dad. Dad, I just looked at Facebook and I saw that you shared our sign. Aren't they great signs? There's a whole series of them. I'll keep posting the other, famous iconic images there that my coworker Susanna did signs with for mask wearing. I do have to tell you, Dad, though, that they were removed overnight, stashed in our bushes, taken down and stashed. Maybe blew in the rain. Maybe that would be a nice thought to think that's what happened to them, but I'm not sure. But we found 3 out of 4, so we lost one somewhere. Maybe it'll turn up. It's pretty obvious that it's ours. It says island free in fairly large font. Anyway, I'm saying hello to my father. I'm saying hello to all of you. Welcome to Frankenstein Tea. It is Sunday. I think this is it. The last week of June, right? Last few days. June 28th, Sunday, June 28th. Next week at this time, it'll be July 4th will be over. It'll be July 5th. July 4th will be over. So hang tight. Wear your mask. On Block Island, there are no July 4th activities. There are no fireworks, and there is no parade. You, of course, are very welcome to come here to social distance, to wear your mask. It's now a town ordinance that we wear masks when out in public and on public property, away from our homes. We ask, the ordinance reads that you wear a mask if you are unable to social distance with a minimum of 6 feet, something like that. I'm pretty sure that's very close to what the ordinance says. What the ordinance is underscoring is wear your mask. That's what is happening on Block Island. There's been some social media posts about a small town, no hospital. Very true for our island. Very limited medical resources if you get sick out here. Or if someone who lives out here gets sick, right? And we live with an elderly population. We have other circumstances. Everybody has their own circumstances. So please come visit, be safe, wear your mask. Be safe for all of us, including yourself and everyone else. That's not really happening. I shouldn't say that. It varies. Some of you are being very good. Some of us are being very good, and some just aren't. So we need to keep reinforcing that message. And we need to do that. Otherwise, we're not going to get past July 4th. And we're going to have to shut down the Rhode Island economy. The governor has told us that repeatedly last week. She does not want to do that. We do not want to do that on Block Island. We want to keep encouraging you to come and enjoying. Today's a hot summer day. We want you in the beach. We want you to be able to get some fresh air. We want you to come and support our shops and our restaurants and have a great day, a great Block Island day. We're not going to be able to keep saying that if we don't follow the rules. They're not that hard. They're really, really, really not that difficult. Put your mask on. Social distance. It's really the only two. Of course, I had a funny thing when I posted that today on the Facebook. I was contemplating saying something about, cover up your bathing suit. Don't wear your bikini strutting around downtown. That was early this morning. I was actually up early this morning. I recorded another episode of the podcast Wake Up Well, which my friend Allison Warfel and I co-launched during COVID over winter. We were recording with Dr. Warcup this morning. He's the doctor at the medical center here on Block Island. And we were recording with Gloria Redlick, who is the senior advisory coordinator. They were having a discussion about getting, really some clarifications on how seniors can proceed through phase 2 of reopening Rhode Island. Really great conversation. We'll launch that this week. We'll give you some heads up on that. But so I was up early and sort of waiting for that Zoom meeting to start. And I had wanted to post those pictures about our mask campaign. And, if anybody saw it, I did write something about, it's a law now to wear your mask on Block Island. That's a New Shoreham town ordinance. And I wrote something like, there's no drinking in the street and you need to wear a mask. Like, those are the laws. This is not nothing other than Rhode Island, United States. Like, we have laws here. We are civilized out here. And, we understand it cannot feel like that. It can feel very different from wherever someone is from. But there are laws here. And I wanted to write in my post, and cover up your bikini, right? Like, don't go walking around town like that. I tell you the little, and I didn't write that, right? That was a library post. I didn't need to bring that up in my library world. If I want to, here I am bringing it up in my library world, but anyway, I didn't write that. And I'm giggling about it because it's exactly the story that I'm going to read to you today. Totally coincidental. I am reading from home. When I read from home, all of us who attend Frankenstein Tea are working our way through my son's textbook here, 40 short stories, a portable anthology, 5th edition, compiled by Beverly Lawn, edited by Beverly Lawn. What do we always say about this? Is this Scholastic? No, Bedford, St. Martin's, Macmillan Learning out of Boston. Let's just do this to get this part done. Copyright 2017. So we read out of this book when I'm home here. Often, that's what we do. And we've read a lot of them, 40 short stories. We've read a lot of them. There are still more to read. And there's one in here today that I'm going to read, and it's by John Updike. And I love John Updike, and I don't know why I hadn't read it yet. I guess there were things that I preferred first, or that I thought were more appropriate for first, or, to read before this. But this today, especially after my story, but also because it's a warm summer day, I hope you'll enjoy and find appropriate and relatable. On Block Island, it's very relatable. Poppy, it'll be some memory relatable for you. So let's see if I can find it. Yes, here it is. John Updike. This is from 40 Short Stories, a portable anthology, the 5th edition, compiled by Beverly Lawn, edited by Beverly Lawn, Macmillan Learning out of Boston in 2017. John, and I have some water. What do you have? Do you have water? It's hot out there. I hope everybody's taking a time out and enjoying Frankenstein Tea. Really, this is what it's about. Like, come out of the sun, put down your chores, take a breather. I'm having water. Truth be told, I ran to the pharmacy and treated myself to a little diet soda, but don't tell anybody I drink diet soda. Oh, it's so yucky, but you got to take your treats where you can get them. Okay. John Updike. The title of this short story is A and P. In walks these 3 girls in nothing but bathing suits. I'm in the 3rd checkout slot with my back to the door, so I don't see them until they're over by the bread. The one that caught my eye first was the one in the plaid green 2-piece. She was a chunky kid with a good tan and a sweet, broad, soft-looking can with those 2 crescents of white just under it, where the sun never seems to hit, at the top of the backs of her legs. I stood there with my hand on a box of hi-ho crackers, trying to remember if I rang it up or not. I ring it up again, and the customer starts giving me hell. She's one of these cash register watchers, a witch about 50 with rouge on her cheekbones and no eyebrows. And I know it made her day to trip me up. She'd been watching cash registers for 50 years and probably never seen a mistake before. By the time I got her feathers smoothed and her goodies into a bag, she gives me a little snort in passing. If she'd been born at the right time, they would have burned her over in Salem. By the time I get her on her way, the girls had circled around the bread and were coming back without a push cart, back my way along the counters in the aisle between the checkouts and the special bins. They didn't even have shoes on. There was this chunky one with the two-piece. It was bright green, and the seams on the bra were still sharp, and her belly was still pretty pale, so I guessed she just got it. The suit. There was this one with one of those chubby berry faces, the lips all bunched together under her nose. This one, and a tall one with black hair that hadn't quite frizzed right, and one of these sunburns right across under the eyes, and a chin that was too long. You know, the kind of girl other girls think is very striking and attractive, but never quite makes it, as they very well know, which is why they like her so much. And then the third one, that wasn't quite so tall. She was the queen. She kind of led them, the other two peeking around and making their shoulders round. She didn't look around, not this queen. She just walked straight on slowly on these long, white prima donna legs. She came down a little hard on her heels, as if she didn't walk in her bare feet that much, putting down her heels and then letting the weight move along to her toes, as if she was testing the floor with every step, putting a little deliberate extra action into it. You never know for sure how girls' minds work. Do you really think it's a mind in there or just a little buzz like a bee in a glass jar? But you got the idea. She had talked the other two into coming in here with her, and now she was showing them how to do it. Walk slow and hold yourself straight. She had on a kind of dirty pink, beige maybe, I don't know, bathing suit with a little nubble all over it. And what got me? The straps were down. They were off her shoulders, looped loose around the cool tops of her arms. And I guess as a result, the suit had slipped a little on her. So all around the top of the cloth, there was this shining rim. If it hadn't been there, you wouldn't have known there could have been anything whiter than those shoulders. With the straps pushed off, there was nothing between the top of the suit and the top of her head, except just her. This clean, bare plane of the top of her chest down from the shoulder bones, like a dented sheet of metal tilted in the light. I mean, it was more than pretty. She had sort of oaky hair that the sun and salt had bleached, done up in a bun that was unraveling, and a kind of prim face. Walking into the A&P with your straps down, I suppose it's the only kind of face you can have. She held her head so high, her neck, coming up out of those shoulders, looked kind of stretched, but I didn't mind. The longer her neck was, the more of her there was. She must have felt in the corner of her eye me over my shoulder, Stooksy in the second slot watching, but she didn't tip. Not this queen. She kept her eyes moving across the racks and stopped and turned so slow it made my stomach rub the inside of my apron and buzzed to the other two, who kind of huddled against her for relief. And then they all three of them went up the cat and dog food, breakfast cereal, macaroni, rice, raisin, seasoning, spread spaghetti, soft drinks, crackers, and cookies aisle. From the third slot, I looked straight up this aisle to the meat counter, and I watched them all the way. The fat one with the tan sort of fumbled with the cookies, but on second thought, she put the package back. The sheep pushing their carts down the aisle, the girls were walking against the usual traffic. Not that we have one-way signs or anything. Were pretty hilarious. You could see them when Queenie's white shoulders dawned on them, kind of jerk or hop or hiccup, but their eyes snapped back to their own baskets and on they pushed. I bet you could set off dynamite in an A&P and the people would by and large keep reaching and checking oatmeal off their lists and muttering, let me see, there was a third thing, began with an A. Asparagus? Nah. Yes, applesauce. Or whatever it is they do mutter. But there was no doubt this jiggled them. A few house slaves and pin curlers even looked around after pushing their carts past to make sure what they had seen was correct. You know, it's one thing to have a girl in a bathing suit down on the beach, where with what the glare, where what with the glare, nobody can look at each other much anyway. And another thing in the cool of the A&P, under the fluorescent lights, against all those stacked packages, with her feet padding along naked over our checkboard green and cream rubber tile floor. Ooh, Daddy, Stokesy said beside me. I feel so faint. Darlin', I said, hold me tight. Stokesy's married, with two babies chalked up on his fuselage already, but as far as I can tell, that's the only difference. He's 22, and I was 19 this April. Is it done? He asks, the responsible married man finding his voice. I forgot to say he thinks he's going to be a manager some sunny day, maybe in 1990 when it's called the Great Alexandrov and Petrushki Tea Company or something. What he meant was, our town is 5 miles from a beach with a big summer colony out on the point, but we're right in the middle of town, and the women generally put on a shirt or shorts or something before they get out of the car into the street. And anyway, these are usually women with 6 children and varicose veins mapping their legs, and nobody, including them, could care less. As I say, we're right in the middle of town, and if you stand at our front doors, you can see 2 banks and the Congregational Church, and the newspaper store, and 3 real estate offices, and about 27 old freeloaders tearing up Central Street because the sewer broke again. It's not as if we're on the Cape. We're north of Boston, and there's people in this town haven't seen the ocean for 20 years. The girls had reached the meat counter and were asking McMahon something. He pointed, they pointed, and they shuffled out of sight behind a pyramid of Diet Delight peaches. All that was left for us to see was old McMahon patting his mouth and looking after them, sizing up their joints. Poor kids. I began to feel sorry for them. They couldn't help it. Now here comes the sad part of the story. At least my family says it's sad, but I don't think it's so sad. The store is pretty empty, it being Thursday afternoon, so there was nothing much to do except lean on the register and wait for the girls to show up again. The whole store was like a pinball machine, and I didn't know which tunnel they'd come out of. After a while, they come around out of the far aisle, around the light bulbs, records at discount of the Caribbean Six or Tony Martin Sings or some such gunk you wonder they waste the wax on, 6-packs of candy bars, and plastic toys done up in cellophane that fall apart when a kid looks at them anyway. Around they come, Queenie still leading the way and holding a little gray jar in her hand. Slots 3 through 7 are unmanned, and I could see her wondering between Stokes and me. But Stokesy's, with his usual luck, draws an old party in baggy gray pants who stumbles up with 4 giant cans of pineapple juice. What do these bums do with all that pineapple juice? I've often asked myself. So the girls come to me. Queenie puts down the jar, and I take it into my fingers, icy cold. Kingfish fancy herring snacks in pure sour cream, 49 cents. Now her hands are empty, not a ring or a bracelet, bare as God made them, and I wonder where the money's coming from. Still, with that prim look, she lifts a folded dollar bill out of the hollow at the center of her nubbled pink top. The jar went heavy in my hand. Really, I thought that was so cute. Then everybody's luck begins to run out. Langle comes in from haggling with a truck full of cabbages on the lot and is about to scuttle into that door marked manager behind which he hides all day when the girls touch his eye. Langle's pretty dreary, touches Sunday school and the rest, but he doesn't miss that much. He comes over and says, "Girls, this isn't the beach." Queenie blushes. though maybe it's just a brush of sunburn I was noticing for the first time, now that she was so close. My mother asked me to pick up a jar of herring snacks. Her voice kind of startled me, the way voices do when you see the people first, coming out so flat and dumb, yet kind of tony too, the way it ticked over pick up and snacks. All of a sudden, I slid right down her voice into her living room. Her father and the other men were standing around in ice cream coats and bow ties, and the women were in sandals, picking up herring snacks on toothpicks off a big glass plate, and they were all holding drinks the color of water with olives and sprigs of mint in them. When my parents have somebody over, they get lemonade, and if it's a real racy affair, Schlitz in tall glasses with "they'll do it every time" cartoons stenciled on. That's all right, Langle says, but this isn't the beach. His repeating this struck me as funny, as if it had just occurred to him, and he had been thinking all these years the A&P was a great big sand dune, and he was the head lifeguard. He didn't like my smiling. As I say, he doesn't miss much, but he concentrates on giving the girls that sad Sunday school superintendent stare. Queenie's blush is no sunburn now, and the plump one in plaid that I liked better from the back, a really sweet can, pipes up. We weren't doing any shopping. We just came in for the one thing. That makes no difference, Langle tells her, and I can see from the way his eyes went that he hadn't noticed she was wearing a two-piece before. We want you decently dressed when you come in here. We are decent, Queenie says suddenly, her lower lip pushing, getting sore now that she remembers her place, a place from which the crowd that runs the A&P must look pretty crummy. Fancy herring snacks flashed in her very blue eyes. Girls, I don't want to argue with you. After this, come in here with your shoulders covered. It's our policy. He turns his back. That's policy for you. Policy is what the kingpin wants. What the others want is juvenile delinquency. All this while, the customers had been showing up with their carts, but sheep, seeing a scene, they had all bunched up on Stokesy, who shook open a paper bag as gently as peeling a peach, not wanting to miss a word. I could feel in the silence everybody getting nervous, most of all Lingle, who asks me, Sammy, have you rung up their purchase? I thought and said, no, but it wasn't about what I was thinking. I go through the punches, 4, 9, gross, tote. It's more complicated than you think, and after you do it often enough, it begins to make a little song that you hear words to. In my case, hello, bing, there, you, dung, happy, people, splat. The splat being the drawer flying out. I uncrease the bill tenderly, as you may imagine, it just having come from between the two smoothest scoops of vanilla I had ever known were there, and pass a half and a penny into her narrow pink palm, and nestle the herrings in a bag and twist its neck and hand it over all the time thinking. The girls, and who'd blame them, are in a hurry to get out, so I say, I quit to Lengle, quick enough for them to hear, hoping they'll stop and watch me, their unsuspected hero. They keep right on going, into the electric eye. The door flies open, and they flicker across the lot to their car, Queenie and Plaid and big tall Goonie, not that as raw material. She was so bad, leaving me with Lengle and a kink in his eyebrow. Did you say something, Sammy? I said I quit. I thought you did. You didn't have to embarrass them. It was they who were embarrassing us. I started to say something that came out fiddly-diddly-do. It's a saying of my grandmother's, and I know she would have been pleased. I don't think you know what you're saying, Lengle said. I know you don't, I said, but I do. I pull the bow at the back of my apron and start shrugging it off my shoulders. A couple customers that had been heading for my slot begin to knock against each other like scared pigs in a chute. Lengel sighs and begins to look very patient and old and gray. He's been a friend of my parents for years. Sammy, you don't want to do this to your mom and dad, he tells me. It's true. I don't. But it seems to me that once you begin a gesture, it's fatal not to go through with it. I fold the apron, Sammy, stitched in red on the pocket, and put it on the counter and drop the bow tie on top of it. The bow tie is theirs, if you've ever wondered. You'll feel this for the rest of your life, Lengel says, and I know that's true. But remembering how he made that pretty girl blush makes me so scrunchy inside. I punch the no sale tab, and the machine whirs, people, and the drawer splats out. One advantage to this scene taking place in summer, I can follow this up with a clean exit. There's no fumbling around getting your coat and galoshes. I just saunter into the electric eye in my white shirt that my mother ironed the night before, and the door heaves itself open, and outside the sunshine is skating around on the asphalt. I look around for my girls, but they're gone, of course. There wasn't anybody but some young married screaming with her children about some candy they didn't get by the door of a powder blue Falcon station wagon. Looking back in the big windows over the bags of peat moss and aluminum lawn furniture stacked on the pavement, I could see Lengel in my place in the slot, checking the sheet through. His face was dark gray and his back stiff, as if he just had an injection of iron, and my stomach kind of fell as I felt how hard the world was going to be to me hereafter. That was John Updike. He wrote that in 1961. That's called A&P. I'm happy we got through that. My computer started to die. I hope I'm recording well. I do think I missed something, and I want to... Where does he write that? Oh, well, I was going to try to go back. I thought I had missed a piece. Just because I thought she took the money out between her bathing suit, and he references it, but I thought there was a reference before that. But I don't see where I missed that. Give me one more second. Let's see if we have one more second. No. He says, hello there, Bing, gun, happy people, splat. The splat being the draw flying out. I uncrease the bill tenderly, as you may imagine, it just having come from between the two smoothest scoops of vanilla I had ever known were there, and pass a half and a penny into her narrow pink palm, and nestle the herrings in a bag, and twist its neck and hand it over, all the time thinking. The girls, and who'd blame them, are in a hurry to get out, so I say I quit to Lengel. Oh, Poppy says it died when she took the money. So can you hear me now, Poppy? Should I read from there again? It seems like I have a little juice left. He quits and walks out. Oh, darn. Did you not get the whole story? Wow, thanks for, I know, Dad, right? Pickled herring? My dad says, wow, thanks for reading. Darn, so I think I owe you two endings. If you didn't hear this one, we should do this one again because it's good. And I owe you the one that I read in the car. I'm not sure you heard the end of that. Oh, Poppy says you got it all. Good. Good. A&P. My dad used to pick me up at the A&P from my job. Pickled herring, cover up your bathing suits, all kinds of very personal references for me. So I hope everybody had a good day. I hope you can still hear me. I hope it worked. And you know what might have happened? It might have just died when it went on battering saving, and then maybe it carried through because it's still on and still recording. Anyway, Thanks for coming. Frankenstein Tea for Sunday. This episode is over and out. I will be back tomorrow, Monday, with another episode, another short story, another chance for us to check in together. Take good care of yourselves. Drink lots of water today. It's very hot on the East Coast. And take it easy. Everybody mask up. Be well. Be safe. Peace.